We were up in Canaan, like went and talked to people from other places, because that seemed like to be.
Well, they did.
Oh, no, they did, but we couldn't hear.
Oh, well, no, we could hear, but we heard the wrong county.
Is that what was going
Yes,
on? Okay.
because they put
It was like Berkeley or.
Yeah,
or
they left us in group 2.
Martinsburg. I don't remember where it was at, but I just know like what came out of those meetings.
Yes.
Like when they all came back, like that was the interesting.
That's the most up to date. They just
Part I
gave us
thought.
Yeah,
that this
I've got an
weekend.
email into that
Is that
secretary
the LSIC?
for them, because we were told that session 5 was not training, and it shows up as training, so they kicked all of the virtual participants off, and so
Yeah.
now we're gonna be short.
Yeah,
And it's
that's-
like, well, we tried to stay and you all didn't stream it, so how was,
That's
Yeah.
just the most
Yeah.
updated about the LSIC that they.
That's
So real quick,
pretty
we're gonna
normal.
know how. I know, but like real quick, give me the snippet of it. We had an election for officers.
Which part?
I'm
Oh.
talking about, okay, which one's
The
that?
student council list?
Yeah, this one.
So they had an election, but they didn't follow the bylaws of the student council.
Okay, but what
Body.
happened, like what was broke in there? Because I did not open this up.
Right there.
This is what was happening.
Plus, there is a GPA, which she didn't mention here, because she didn't want to make anyone mad, but there's a GPA. Says you have to have this GPA to be president of the student body,
Yeah.
and they didn't follow that either, the person they elected.
Lisa, I should have come and spent the afternoon with you.
Taking hours of it.
Now I'm going to get a bigger office. I've got stuff strung everywhere.
With me, I was stringing around and getting confused to where to put it.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with everything. How you doing, Brett?
Oh man, I'm hanging in there.
I just stopped down there and talked to your dad for about a half an hour. We had a good conversation. Talking about how it used to be. and
Yeah.
How it is now.
Lot changed. Seems like it just keeps,
World changes, whether we want to
seems
do it or
like it
not.
just keeps changing quicker and quicker too.
I would like to get everyone a copy of the stuff they gave me down there, because I felt it was very useful.
yeah,
Maybe I'll leave that with Lisa, she can.
yes.
So it's at the school board's meeting this weekend. I'm sure there was a lot of good stuff came out of there.
Well, and of course, they did a whole thing about the superintendent evaluation, and they did a whole thing about the accountability policy. I'd like to get copies of this stuff for you all, so maybe we
Hey,
can,
Mr. Price.
maybe Lisa can make that.
Doing all right?
But I
Busy on the hill?
think we're gonna be
Yes, I'm busy.
hurting.
You mean based on that evaluation?
The accountability. They basically said you have so long to get all your parameters fixed, or we're bringing the superintendent and board president in front of the state board to explain why.
I thought the guy that they questioned there and that they did, like, he had his, I guess he'd been there doing it for like 35 years or something. The guy that he was sitting there and he's like, well, I'm just gonna pick on you because you're sitting there.
Oh, that, the
But I guess he.
superintendent maybe?
Yeah, it was the superintendent. He said,
Yeah.
that, like, during that, he's like, I'm just
I'm
gonna.
not surprised. I've been here 2 years. I know what's going on.
Well.
I didn't call you because you answered all the questions this week, by the way.
This is very important.
That's all I needed, just quick snippet.
Yeah.
So basically, they broke the 23, 22 down into bite-sized pieces. Some of that stuff for our work session.
Get for a Monday? Yeah.
At least I got half of these. I'll finish them after you eat them.
That's fine.
I didn't realize there was that many. Maybe I just need to get me a stamp.
I'm not allowed to use one. All my signatures have to be,
Is that right?
so that's why I can't feel my fingers.
You're supposed to just be able to take it.
Always
Is
before,
that why
I
the
used to
doctor's
stamp.
is always so sloppy?
Yeah, because you have to write it 9 million times a day.
I've always practiced my signature like I was a doctor.
I used to love practicing when I was a kid, you know, you race your name and stuff, you know, until I do time sheets, and it's like, oh my goodness, how many people work here? Like, it's how I realized just how many people work at Gilmer County Elementary School. Submit their time sheets twice a month.
Hey, Dr. Barr.
It's not. It's not very.
I'm good, how are you? Hey, so I'm gonna put you here on speakerphone, we've not started yet, but we're about to. Okay. All right, so Dr. Barr, Mr. Manning's on speaker.
Okay.
You wanna put it up, yep.
Dr. Barr, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. How are you?
All right. And how are you?
No, not too bad. Better than I was.
I've been there and done that.
Yeah, it's awful. Gosh, it's awful.
It is. Was for me. It took me about 3 weeks. I was down.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Tyson, did you give your golf game up?
I played last week and it was awful.
Oh, okay. I just hadn't seen you out there, didn't
Oh
I?
my God. I played 3 times this year and it's laughable.
Well, that's why you only play 3 times a year. Shoot. You'd be out there 3 times a week.
Too late here to get my membership, and I'm just not into it.
I understand. A little more on the plate
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's I ride my bike when I have it free time.
I've been taking Chase out,
Yeah.
coming right along.
With golf?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I took my son a couple weeks ago, actually, the last time he loves, he's a little guy, but.
Yeah.
he-
Chase loves it too.
That's something I wish I would've learned as a kid. I would feel a lot better than I am now.
I agree with
Every time I
playing.
was a kid,
It helps to have instruction to know, so, like, I'm not the best coach,
he
but
didn't want me to play.
I try to work on my own game so I can, have stuff to give to him.
Yeah.
He's a really, like, fast learner too, so very coachable kid. But it's fun to take him out there. I enjoy golfing with him more than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that, Dad? You see that?
That's something you guys can do for, that's a lifelong sport.
That's why I'm trying to get him into it. And you don't have to rely on like a full
Get my
team,
dag on
like
it.
have 11. You know what I mean?
She said she'd run scholarship opportunities too, go all the way with.
Pretty sure it has to be somewhere in my truck.
Did I hear Jason's gone?
Probably so. How are you, Ira? Good.
He's on the phone here.
Yeah, I hear some of the ones, some of these Americans going around, some of them, there is one that's.
You kind of knew where you
Well,
wanted
let me
it.
tell you, I got
You wanted up in this area.
in July. Took me 3 weeks till I could do anything.
Yeah, if you got somebody
And
talking
Nancy got it
louder
at the
than
same
somebody
time.
else, and you want
Didn't mess with her at all.
She had a major surgery 10 days later.
Yeah.
1, 2,
And already
3,
like a,
I
weak
was just
immune
scrolling
system.
too.
That's crazy.
I was gonna tell them which ones we may have updates to in my update.
You
Which
just
is-
never know. It's a strange illness.
So, it was
But I
everything
think this time
except
next year will be gone.
Whatever.
everything down to here.
The COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that what you
Yeah, so I
want?
think it's everything.
They'll just
down
be
to
calling
here, 'cause the
something
rest of
else.
these
It'll
were-
be
nothing
That's
for it. It'll
the
be
same,
gone.
that's the same, that's the same.
These
Yeah,
viruses
so 10, 10 to 10,
So
15.
it just goes around this
And then all the vaccinations have a big effect. That new thing that China's developed, they claim that once you can take that, you'll be immune forever through your nasal.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I trust China or
I
not.
know, but that's what they're saying, saying that's the best method of all.
Thank you.
But, you know, these people say a lot of things.
Yeah, you don't ever know anymore. You
I'm
might go
gonna
up to the
start-
farm show this weekend? You go to farm show?
Mhm.
Kids that show anything?
Caitlin showed a hog, sheep, rabbits.
Yeah, pretty good. I wanted to go up there and eat, and I missed it.
Yeah.
I didn't know it
Good
was this
turnout.
weekend.
I haven't heard the total on the,
I was coming down 5 though, and I heard people over there, and then finally got around to all the trailers and stuff, and I knew that's what it had to be.
Caitlin drove back and forth from Morgantown all week.
So
Going to
they-
school up there.
Do they not do like the farm show though anymore? Like where everybody sets up projects and you bring in your canned goods and judge those?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they set
yeah.
that part up at the,
At the dining hall.
Yeah, cause I didn't see anybody over there. That's what I didn't see anybody over there Saturday. What
Yeah.
day was that? Was that Friday or? I went there about Saturday at about 2 o'clock and people were
That's
packing her in.
During the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the showing itself is, what, Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, so I just got to clean up. I thought it was like a Friday, Saturday thing.
Thursday evening is the sale.
We're waiting a couple minutes on Mrs. Lowther, in case you're wondering. We're a couple minutes late.
Tammy,
Tyson, how'd you get out of that
sign
PTO
in?
meeting so quick?
What's that?
So how'd you get out of that PTO meeting so quick?
JT took care of that for me. Well, he did it for a little while. They were rocking and rolling. We're playing for the boot bash right now. It's gonna be big time. Go big or go home.
Yeah.
Maybe that Snickers commercial after. Get angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's career day, so it's like,
Okay.
tomorrow's career day?
You want a pocket, you want to go stereotypical pocket protector, big glasses. Maybe the abacus or the big calculator.
No, I think it's Hannah Wilson. She's the one that does that college career readiness.
Annual. Is that full time? Or is there something else with that?
There's, yeah. Yeah, it's not.
So Joe Wynn did it.
I'm confused.
Pretty normal, isn't
Yeah. I don't know the band part of it.
it? What's that?
I was just looking at the band here for the food thing or whatever I thought it was, but
Yeah, it is.
that looks like a
I haven't been keeping anything out there.
doctor band right there.
It was eight. I'm meeting with Sharon Sanders
I
this
just-
weekend, we're having a weekend, so. Oh, how big is it?
Turtle down.
Now, I don't know, but if a person gets hungry around here, it's
I do one thing.
A lot of kids do.
I know, but the parents' fault.
Yeah, it's the
So many
parents' fault.
opportunities for food is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, they were just last week giving out all the stuff down here, have Mountain State cards. If you make under whatever, they're giving you money on a Mountain State card right now, whether you want it or not. I mean, there's just food everywhere.
Yeah, but you have to be an adult to take advantage of it.
Yeah, all that.
I usually go and find the heavy bin, you know? And
The one
then
thing
she
we
was
didn't talk
like,
about
do I need to
was
stack it or
constitutional
towards it?
Hey, you guys remember in the,
At the conference?
Yes, we talked
I know,
about
she
that
said
in our
it's
group
protocol.
session.
Okay, okay,
Hey,
that's where that came
I'm trying
from.
to
So
get
the
it.
group that I watched did not.
Hey,
Well,
you guys remember when we were up in Canaan, I was asking about the Narcan pens?
yeah.
Out in California last week, kid brought in fentanyl.
Yes.
Teacher went to take it out of the bag or whatever, got it on him and overdosed, and they had to take her to the hospital and stuff. Yeah, I guess.
They're-
I'm telling you,
they
it's only a
give-
matter
they
of
give
time.
it out.
Said it looked like Percocets, though. It was a pill form, looked like Percocets. Thought it was pills. Kid was dealing it in school, found however many pills, 130 pills, and
Dr. guy that was running our session, he said.
300 bucks.
Amendment. Amendment two.
Yes.
Passes, they will lose 40% of their working revenue.
But we probably figure ours out yet. Okay. Well, and that's what I was saying, because I'm talking about maybe doing something with that. Well, I did, like I said, online, we didn't get that information, so I was.
The Dodgers guy told me that if that amendment two passes, that his school will lose 40% of its levy money.
why? The amendment to why?
Well, because it
See, that was-
eliminates personal property taxes, which go to schools.
And that's where they get all their money is through those oil and gas companies.
And some other counties told me how much to, I don't know how much it will affect us, I don't know if
And what is
anyone's
it like?
checked.
So how do we stand up against it? Did they say how to?
Don't know.
Those amendments, the thing that bothers me the most is with- if they pass, all the decisions made here will be done by state superintendent.
Yeah. So who do we have it? Like, is that in Congress or is that in the House?
It's on the ballot. It's in
on
the ballot in
voters
November.
pass it.
Yes.
Voters.
And right now, there are 2 percentage points.
Yeah.
2%, the last poll, they were passing by 2 percentage points.
So we need to tell everybody to vote no to Amendment 2 come the next election.
Well, we can pass a resolution if that's what we decide to do, and I would say that eventually there'll be a template on how to do that, and so on and so forth. Because they covered that in the last,
That's the president.
and
Have you read those
amendments,
Have
yeah.
you?
Yes, I have.
No, I hadn't heard about it before this week.
Unless I'm wrong, the way I understand it, the state superintendent will make all the decisions. The school boards and everybody else will have lost all their authority.
We didn't get to that when we talked so much
About
about
property tax.
the property tax one, that we didn't get to that, but that was the first time I'd heard about it.
The state superintendent, that they're gonna appoint a state board of 9 members. The Senate's gonna be in charge of it. They're gonna appoint the state superintendent, and the state superintendent will make the final decisions about all school systems in the state.
Well, I looked at him and said, really, you're screaming at me.
You need to read it, you
turn
really do.
When the tractor trailer was passing us, and I didn't turn into the tractor trailer when you screaming at me. And you're gonna fail me because I didn't turn on my blinker color? And he went, well, I guess you didn't kill us. Yeah, while you were screaming for me to kill us.
So he passed it.
Yeah. I wasn't happy with him, he wasn't happy with me though.
No, because when they, GPS.
Lisa, are you sure Patty's all right?
Yeah, Joe talked to her.
This is going to be, boy, they're hot on it.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't need it next year, we're bringing you before.
Yeah.
Change it in.
Did you get that down there?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna see if maybe Lisa would make a copy for everybody. because
Yeah, I was gonna say, wonder why they didn't just send them to us if they
This
knew.
is gonna be a big deal.
I think having booklets coming.
Yeah,
Why
she's
would they
got
send it to
accountability.
us if they
I
knew?
want you to
Oh, no,
write
no,
this
no.
down.
This
When you
one's
get
the
time,
policy
I want you to
2322,
read this
accountability
code.
policy.
18-5.
Yeah, if you
14.
would for the other.
But I want you to read it all from 18
We need them for the work
one
session.
all the way through to 25.
This
Or
one
just that one
maybe.
maybe.
It's all pertaining
So,
to
you know, if you
specific
just
things that the
wanna make
school
it
system's
after or
supposed to
whatever.
do.
I tried to make copies of what I thought was relevant for everyone tonight.
18-514 deals basically with school improvement councils. That's a part of the code that every board member should know.
technically for you. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Well, I guess we'll call this meeting to order now. Stand and I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any delegations?
Yeah. Did you sign up for delegation? Were you gonna talk?
Well, I wanted to. I didn't sign for delegation, though. I just signed in.
Yeah.
You can sign in, yes, if you want to. We're underway, Jason. You're there, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have the time left.
Okay, you can go ahead.
You can come up here or
Oh,
whatever.
You can stand back here too.
I don't have my letter.
We can hear you.
do.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Do you want me to- Okay.
Dr. Miller, did you get my email that I couldn't open it?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't access it because it was locked down to you.
I made copies for everyone if you'd like a copy.
Please.
Did you get that boot off?
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me speak. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Maya and I had discussed this, and she would be here, but she has a golf tournament tonight. So first of all, I just want to say she really loves her classes, and she absolutely loves FFA and doing the parliamentary procedure, which they're getting ready for nationals in October. And as a result of doing parliamentary procedure, it's really important to her the structure that it brings to a situation, to groups, to organizations, and so on. And so when student council had their election, she was concerned that she wanted to see the bylaws, and she was concerned that the meeting wasn't done according to the bylaws. And so we talked about it. I wanted to know why. She didn't get it, and that's not the reason why. If there is another election, she won't run. But it's just for the part that we are raising citizens who are going to be voters after they leave high school, and it's important to do things properly because that's the whole purpose that we have bylaws and is for structure and so that things run smoothly and run the way they're supposed to. We can't just run things willy-nilly the way we, see it. So, to whom it may concern, as a student, I believe it is my duty to stand up for what is right. As an individual, it is my priority to raise hard questions and challenge traditions sometimes and seek justice. I've had prior experience in serving on Gilmer County High School Student Council, and last year I had the privilege of being chosen to serve on the local schools improvement committee. Each organization created adopts a set of bylaws or standing rules. This assists in maintaining order and structure throughout the duration of the organization's existence. Without these rules, organizations would lack structure, credibility, and organization. It has surfaced that the 2022 Student Council Officer election was hastened and improperly executed. There are many requirements for each election stated clearly in the Student Council's constitution, one of them being that each candidate for office must present a speech before the student body, and no candidate was presented the opportunity to do so. Lastly, Student Council should consist of the best students that the school has to offer, students taking higher level classes with honorable grades. Those students who take their responsibility as a priority should be speaking for our students and conducting meetings. In the bylaws, it states that the president must have a 3.0 accumulative grade point average. This is because there is a standard to hold such a high position, and it is very important that the leader of our student government should take it as seriously as they take their education. Rules and guidelines are implemented to hold structure and standards. If we do not adhere to them, it threatens the entire integrity and security of the organization. We must strive to teach students to achieve high, accomplish much, and be knowledgeable about government procedures. The integrity of our student government is at stake, and I urge you to implement a solution to recall the election to ensure that the standards are met as well as followed. With care, Maya Huff. And then she had a petition where, and I don't know if you want me to read this, but it talks about the section of the bylaw and then what was not done according to it. So one is Section 8 says that elections and officers and representatives shall be held in the spring. And if that were the case, then they wouldn't have to hurry so much in the fall, probably. Section 8, letter B, all election procedures and rules will be adopted by the council prior to elections. There were no existent procedures and rules adopted by the council prior to the election. It should be set aside. Candidates for the for office must present a speech, and they were denied the benefit, nor were any of the students their grade point average looked at before they ran for office. And I know when I was in high school, we really did esteem the person who was the president of student council, and that person would be somebody who would speak for the students and, you know, have a high level of standards. And again, if it's not personal about anyone, but it's just that it says that that person should have a 3.0 grade point average, and I don't see why they shouldn't, because it is an important position. We have a certain standard for our football players before they get on the team, on the field to play, and why wouldn't we for our academic achievements, you know? So I've presented this, and this is,
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Thank you, Tina.
Welcome.
Next, we'll go into the consent agenda. Patty, that's the minutes of the August 22nd meeting.
Yes.
Have you guys had a chance to look at those? I have a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from the August 22nd, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. September the 1st, 2022 expulsion hearing. Do I have was that included in the minutes of the August 22nd meeting?
No, sir.
That was a separate one?
It was a separate meeting.
Okay, so have you read those minutes?
Yes.
And do I have a motion to approve those?
Make a motion to approve the September 1st, 2022 expulsion hearing minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the expulsion hearing minutes of September the 1st. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I'm doing a call vote, which you can say aye for it or nay if you're against it. If I happen to miss your vote, make sure you interrupt me and tell me that.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay. That's good, Jason. That's the thing to do. If you don't understand and you don't know what to vote, just interrupt me and tell me, and we'll get it straight.
Yes, sir, no problem.
The next, we have the treasurer's report.
Good evening. This evening, I have the schedule of checks to be written. As I previously mentioned, there was some, WEVAS 2.0 has us all messed up, so that was interfering with some of the ability to print these financial reports, but those are working again. I realize it is September, so I still owe you July and August. It's a very busy time of year for all of us, but I will have those hopefully get caught up by the next meeting in September and get you current on those. Were there any questions with the schedule of checks to be written?
I didn't see any. I'll make a motion to approve that schedule of checks.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the schedule of checks to be written. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Is there any questions or discussion with the monthly financial report? And that is final as of right now. When you go through your financials and you reconcile and you close out your year, there's gonna be small adjustments here and there. So then that will, if you look at that and you look at the financial statements when they come out and you're like, well, this doesn't match, well, that's because you have receivables and different things like that that aren't shown as of year end that you record as you're closing out the year. Just to be clear on that.
Do we have a motion to approve the monthly financial report?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the monthly financial report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And we have 3 purchases over $5,000 for approval this evening. One of those is CPI training, and that is a training, as Shelley has described, that is a training for our county's trainers. We basically pay for 2 of our selected professionals to be trained, and then they come back and train the county because as much as that is, it would be astronomical to send every employee in the county to that training. So that's the first one.
What's that
Can we do
training
these
on?
one at a time?
Yeah.
So we can talk about it?
Yes.
Okay.
What's that training
What
on?
is that? Crisis prevention intervention.
Yeah.
Yes, it's for, it's restraint training, it's what people commonly think of as CPI. When students become, if they cause harm to themselves or others, how to restrain them. But it also encompasses how to deal with students who are becoming defiant or agitated, how to de-escalate behaviors for those students before it gets to a restraint type situation.
And we are required to have some form of program in place.
Yearly,
Yes.
for any school core team. And then if CPI or any type of restraint is used on a person that is not trained, then we have to provide training within, I think it's 30 days from the restraint training, from the time that restraint was utilized with a student by an untrained person.
Well, I think that's good, that all these people are trained in that, and you're going, I guess you'll be the one that makes sure that gets dispersed out to everybody in the county, right?
We train about 25 to 30 people every year on it. That's how many people are involved in the restraint training. Then JT also does a training, it's not the full training because it's expensive even for us to do a training with people, to have them fully certified so that they can restrain. But he will do pieces of it on how to de-escalate behaviors with various people. I know he worked with the bus drivers one year. We work with aides. If they're not fully trained by us, then they also get little pieces of it. We just can't afford to train
Right.
150 people.
I understand that, but the training that you do is really important. I think that you never know when somebody's going to have to be restrained, and if you don't know what you're doing, it could be a very big problem. So I appreciate that, and I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the crisis prevention training. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Tesco.
Tesco, and you see the amount of $50,000 there. was it late in the year last year, we had come to the board with the opportunity to buy a very similar vehicle. By the time kind of the wheels and everything got turning on it, and we got approval to purchase that, the vehicle was gone. So that same outfit, same people involved, have found another vehicle that was a little bit more money. It's a newer vehicle that's outfitted a little bit differently, will be outfitted a little bit differently, but it is more money. That $50,000 that you see there for Tesco, the board had previously approved $90,000, and the total price of this vehicle is gonna be $140,000. Now, before we all get scared, the actual price to the county will be zero. We will pay for it up front, and then we will be immediately reimbursed through Save the Children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, just like, we do this often with Save the Children. We pay for it up front, and then Clay sends in reports and they
Send the money, yes.
So, tell us some of the things you're gonna do with this vehicle.
That's all I wanna know, just because it sounds like it's been voted on in the past, but I'm just curious of what the plan is for this as well.
Just for the people who are new, some of the things that we had talked about is using it on field trips. It's just a little bit easier to handle instead of loading a bus down with milk. It's gonna come with a cooler, so we can store milk in it. I know when we go over to Cedar Creek, you can lift the back of it up and you can serve right out of the back of it. When we were doing, a lot of summer travel, like Sherry West would take and do different community things, she had to take her personal car and take that food and the instructional materials. This would allow her to actually use a county vehicle instead of utilizing.
Is this the exact vehicle? Because this vehicle, by the pictures, looks like a mobile doctor unit.
We'll go fix it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Okay.
modify.
That's why I asked, 'cause the picture.
Yeah, they will, the picture is the actual vehicle, but it will be modified on the interior.
Yeah.
And it will have a raft and a generator and, student desks, a milk cooler,
So the price is for the blueprint, not the pictures, not what it is now, but this
Right.
is to change it into what
Right.
it needs to be for.
Final
us.
price, the way we will
Okay.
get it will be the $140,000
upon delivery.
upon delivery.
And it'll also be wrapped with Save the Children on it, so it will look completely different, Mr. Chapman, when it comes.
Okay. I don't care, the usability, just wanted to make sure it's usable.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Tesco invoice for $50,000.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve Tesco $50,000. Is there any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, zones.
Zones is for the purchase of 20 laptops. Those 20 laptops are some replacements for laptops that have been damaged. As you know, when with COVID funds, when all that happened, we were able to go one-to-one, so every student had their own device. Some of those devices get damaged, so that is to replace some of those. We also have, I got some enrollment figures. We have 33 new students at the elementary school and 34 new students at the high school. So some of those computers, the purchased laptops will go to those new students that there wasn't a laptop there previously. And some of them, I was told, a few of them will be kept just on hand for stock should another one break or whatever happens.
I make a motion that we clear the Zones LLC check.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Zones LLC laptop for 7537. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Clay, we're just assuming when you come up and recommend something to us, you have the money.
We have the money.
Okay.
I talked to Clay at Foodland today, he was telling me all about that.
Okay. Next, we have the recognition of students and staff.
I'd just like to say again how proud we are of Mrs. Stewart, because tomorrow night she is in the top 3 of the West Virginia Teacher of the Year. So we're,
Top 10 still, that, there was a post on WVEA that
Oh,
was misleading.
top 10?
She's one of 3 WVEA members.
oh, okay, well, I got
That's what I
excited
read,
about
yeah.
that.
I think top 3.
I read it as top 3.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's still
anyway.
pretty good, top
Yeah,
10.
top 10,
my
we're
goodness,
excited.
That's great.
We're very excited, and we'll go tomorrow, and when she's the winner, she will be invited back on the 14th to the state board meeting, so we're extremely excited with Mrs. Stewart. So, and school's starting, and we're really excited with our kids. They're making wonderful progress. I know the farm show was a great success, so kudos to everybody that worked on that.
Frank Witt's not here again.
I
so-
have not heard from him since I gave him the dates of the meetings. I would think,
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah, they can call us, he can call us if they want.
Yeah, I mean, I've just not
Okay.
heard anything from him.
Take
Just
judgment.
take him
off.
off. Okay, Mr. Frazier, we're ready for you.
I'll start with the secure entry at the high school as we get closer to completing that project. The canopy that I spoke about several board meetings, it should be in hopefully Wednesday this week. If they do, they be in city construction. If they have it in their hands Wednesday this week, we'll install that either Thursday or Friday, or a combination of Thursday and Friday this week. So we're hoping that happens. Now with that install, and we worked with the building level administration today, that front sidewalk coming in from the east wing, the right side of the building looking at it, we may have it blocked off for a period of time while they're working on that canopy right there. But we'd be able to deal with any handicap situation or anything through the east wing. So I think we'll be fine and make do there. They do still owe us some glass, as I've reported before. I'm being told that glass will ship on 9/15, so it should ship this week. And once city gets their hands on it, I don't think it'll take them long to put it in. There was some glass in the secure vestibule in the man trap that wasn't cut to the right size. So hopefully that'll be shipped this week. The painter was on site today. What the painter is working on, some punch list items. There were some things that they needed to redo, and then he's got to come back and paint it and clean it up again. He's also working on some additional paint. There were some very distinct places, kind of like that place on the wall would be the best place I could describe it. You had the original paint, and then you came and painted something new, and we've kind of got all this invested in that secure entry up there, and all this in our entryway, and it's going to look really sharp. But we did have some very distinct areas like that were kind of an eyesore that we decided to address while we were doing this. We had, at our front entry alone, you could stand in one spot and see 3 different colored doors. And we kind of thought while we're doing this, and as much as we have invested in this, that we ought to see the same color doors and all that. So hopefully that'll get finished this week. We're still waiting on some locks. The doors are locked, but the cores are not in. And unfortunately, there's one person or one company that can get us these cores, and they shut down for a little bit due to inventory. I don't know how that works in the core business and the lock business and all that kind of stuff, but I guess you shut down a month at a time to do inventory. And unfortunately, we're in that period right now. Now, our doors are locked, but they're not, you can't open every door with a key and things like that like you should be able to and like we will be able to. So we're waiting on that. Also, at the main entry, we have had that pebble flex on the outside of the main entry for years. It was a brown, darker brown, some light brown with RG, in the middle of it. It has served its life. I don't know how long it's been there, but it was looking really bad before we did 2 major projects. After we've done the steps at Gilmer County High School, and after we've done this secure entry, it is really starting to peel bad, and it looks bad. So we have came up with a plan to address that, and I don't know exactly when yet, but that will happen. Probably the biggest issue right now, there's still an issue we're working through, and if you guys have been up there to events or whatever, the new command center, we have windows there. And all along as we were working through this project, we thought we'd be able to see out, but you could not see in from the hallway. And once we got that tent, that's not the case. To be honest, our new upgrade in LED lighting kind of hurt us right there. That command center's too bright, and it kind of hurt us right there. And so we are working through that. We looked at 2 more samples today. We asked them for about 3 different options today. We will weigh that out once we see it, and of course we'll bring it to the board and keep the board updated. But right now, when you walk through there, you can see in there, and that definitely was not our intent and not what we wanted. So we are working through that, and that was probably
Even with the new tent, you're saying, because they put 10 on.
Yes,
because we knew we could see.
they've put 10 in.
So
You can
still
see
see
in
it.
there. Yes, sir.
Still see it.
And a lot of things happen, not just if we had a disaster, a school shooting, something like that. The administration, teachers could be meeting with parents. We could be bringing someone in. There's several meetings that take place in that room that just everybody walking up the hallway doesn't need to be able to see. So it is that 1% of the time. Hopefully, we never use it for a disaster. But it's also several uses throughout the normal school day that we just did not want to be able to see in that room. And we're working through that. We'll come up with something there. That was probably the biggest part of our discussion today. The architect is not going to award them substantial completion until that canopy is finished. It's a major part of the project. It's not finished yet. It's not installed. So there's no substantial completion. The reason that's big, not that city would do this, not that any contractor would do this, but once they get substantial completion, that means they get a substantial amount of the money they're owed. And a lot of times that money is what you have holding over somebody to make sure they come back, wrap up the project, and wrap it up the way we want it wrapped up. So they've not been awarded that yet. They've not been awarded substantial completion, and it won't happen until that canopy is done. We are on a punch list right now. City is working on the punch list. The way that works, just so the board knows, City will address everything on that punch list, and it's lengthy, but several things are real small things. But they will address and get to the point where they feel they've addressed that punch list. Then what we'll have, the architect will join our team. Our team will consist of the superintendent. She's been involved every step of the way on this. Myself, Mr. Putman as the building administrator, and then Clay. So us 4, along with the architect, will go through the punch list items and sign off, yes, that is fixed to satisfaction. That is the way we want it, or no, you've got to come back and address this farther. So 3 signatures have to go on that punch list. The contractor, City Construction, has to say they did it. The architect has to say they approve, and then we have to say we approve before we close this project out. So that's kind of where we're at on the secure entry. Any questions on it?
I was up there the other day, and it's looking nice. It's coming together.
It is, and I think really, let alone the safety that we've added, another layer of safety, a huge layer of safety for our students and staff, but I also think it's a little facelift, to be honest, in that office area.
Yeah.
So thank you. Unfortunately, with ESG and the HVAC, I really have no update other than they do have 9 units now. There are 9 units. There's a couple behind the high school. They have a couple on their site. They are expecting, and this is what I told you 2 weeks ago, I know, but they are expecting the other units any day. Any day.
We have 9.
I'm not even sure the total number. I can't. I'd be afraid to tell you, Mr. Chapman, right now. I'm afraid I'd tell you wrong.
Oh, you're fine.
But anyways, we've set it at 9. I want to say it's about half. To be honest, I want to say it's about half. But once we get them, they say they're ready to work. One thing that has happened that we'll have to coordinate carefully here, we expected to get these units lifted onto the building during the summer. And it's going to be a big crane. Sometimes the crane's going to be in the back lot reaching over. That's a smaller crane. Then it's going to be a very big crane in the front lot, lifting these units on top of the building. So now, once we do get the units, that's something we're going to have to look at the school calendar. We're going to have to look when we can. Maybe it's evenings. Maybe it's them on a weekend. Maybe we get lucky and catch a day we don't have students. But we're going to have to work with ESG on the timeliness of this, when we can actually have that big crane day, and it might be multiple crane days. Obviously, a crane is a huge amount of money. They wanted to do it with one day of a crane lift. It may not happen like that. It may be multiple crane lifts, which does mean a lot more money. So I'm still hoping we can get it in a one day. We get all those units lifted up, all the old ones lifted down. But that's something that's got a little trickier now that we're in the school year that we're going to have to work out with the HVAC. Unfortunately, that's really about the same thing I've probably said the last 2 board meetings on that. But that's where we're at on that. Any questions on that? With the animal processing classroom, I worked with Williamson Shriver Friday and today on that, and they are finishing up the details of the equipment There's a lot of equipment going in there, and then all the equipment's got to fit and all that. And they're working specifically right now on that with Hooten equipment. Hooten, they supplied that Buzz Foods where we went and toured. They did the equipment in there, so we're working with them on the plan, the specs for the equipment. They should be wrapping that up soon. We ran into a small hiccup. We are losing the existing shop garage door. And it was convenient for a lot of reasons, but we're gonna lose that big garage door. What we wanted to do was put a new garage door on the side facing the greenhouse, on that end of the building toward the Woodford property. We wanted to put a new garage door there. It's very handy for Mr. Cox and the activities he has going on, FFA, regular school, and to be honest, it's also handy for the school. That's the biggest doorway if we got a large shipment of whatever come in, and you've got to deal with it. You've got to find a place for it halfway quick. That's the largest doorway in the building, and we don't want to lose that. The small hiccup we've ran into with ESG's plan on HVAC for the vocational part of the building, those existing units are out there fenced in. They still had that plan to fence in existing units outside, and they have it fenced in where we want to put the garage door. So right now, Williamson Shriver is working with ESG. Williamson Shriver's designing our animal processing. ESG's doing our HVAC. The good thing is here is that Jason Harper, who works for both companies, he does the HVAC work for both contractors. So at least we do have a representative that is representing both sides, and they are telling us they will make it work. But that has been a small hiccup and caused a little bit of a delay here as they're working through that process. I do think it's important, Mr. Cox feels it's important, Mr. Putman feels it's important, that we still do have that garage door. So it's not something that we want to say, just forget it, put the units there, we'll do without. We do want a garage door entering that shop.
So that would be to the left of the VOAG door to his classroom, is that correct? If you're standing and looking at his door?
I think you're right.
Because the shop would be on that side, like if you're looking at his door.
I've only entered that door a couple times
You
in
go
my
all the way
life.
to the end of the hallway, and I think, you would go
The
and
shop
it'd
would
be
be
the
on
left.
the left.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the door from the outside if you entered?
Yeah,
The
his
door from the parking
classroom
lot?
door.
Yeah.
The shop is to the left
You're
of
definitely
that.
on the right end. I'm afraid to tell you right or left right now.
I mean, there's some fenced-in stuff on the right, but you couldn't put it there because that's
Well, it's
other stuff.
and again, I don't know. You're definitely on the right end of the building.
I know.
That's where it is. But there is an issue right now with where the new ones are going to set and where we want the garage door. So they are working through that. And like I said, I do think it's key that Jason Harper, the engineer, works for Williamson Shriver and ESG. So at least we have that common person working on both sides here instead of just completely Williamson Shriver working with ESG and no common thread in the middle. Jason Harper told me himself, he visited about 4 weeks ago, and he told me himself he will come up with a plan to make it work. And so I think it will, but it has caused a little bit of delay. We are trying to set up next week. It's hard right now. It's a busy, as Clay alluded to earlier, it's a very busy time of year, and we're all busy, and people are out for different reasons, various reasons. We wanted to set up a meeting next week, and I spoke about this meeting several times late in the week with our folks, everybody I've mentioned earlier, with Mr. Cox, our in-house animal processing classroom expert, with the USDA guy, and then our local health inspector. Unfortunately, Mr. Cox is going to be out at the end of next week on some regular, already scheduled trips of his own with FFA or whatever it is. So it's just a matter of lining it up where the appropriate people can be at that meeting. But that meeting will happen soon. That meeting needs to happen before we turn in our final plans to SBA. SBA has to approve it. The animal processing is an SBA project. That's not just us on our own. So they are going to have to approve the final. But that is a key meeting with the USDA representative and with our local health inspector to make sure everything's good to go. And it's just a matter of lining that up. So if it doesn't happen late next week, we will shoot for early the week after to have that meeting, then get everything sent to SBA and hopefully get it turned around. That's where we're at with the animal processing classroom.
I can tell you that the Calhoun County Board of Education are very excited for us to get a meat processing facility.
I don't doubt that.
That was the big questions this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, tell us about that meat processing. Are you going to be able to do people from the community? Blah, 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 blah.
So you may possibly lose those staff parking places there on the outside of his door then.
That could happen. I don't want to say it's going to happen, yes, or yet, but yes, I could see that
I mean,
happening.
that's the only place I
That's-
think.
And we kind of thought that with the garage door, we're gonna lose at least a couple anyways. So we'll have to deal with that. I'll let Mr. Putman deal with that. The drainage issue out back, we're getting closer, and again, I've told the board this several times, it just seems like everything takes forever, and I know we all want it right now. We've had several conversations last week with SLS on that. One, we needed to know, do you plan on bidding on this? Because that's a little, they can design it, but if they're gonna work us through the procurement process, and what that is, hold the mandatory pre-bid meeting, be able to answer questions of a contractor during the process of this project, then they probably shouldn't be bidding on it. They are not interested in bidding on it this time. So we are working with them. We want them to help us. They've designed it already, and you guys have approved that, that fee. What we're asking them right now is to help us through this project, SLS. And again, that would be through the procurement, through the bidding process, the mandatory pre-bid meeting where we'd make any contractor show up to this meeting. They'd have to be there. SLS, since it's their design, it's their plan, they would be the experts on how to answer any contractor questions. And then we'd have progress meetings. I don't think this is going to take near as long as the secure entry or the animal processing, but I'm sure there'd be meetings throughout the project. And they are interested in helping us through that. We are waiting on that fee. And then we're still waiting on a fee. Most of the time when we go into a big project like this, we have a ballpark figure based on, cost of today, what things are costing, what's going on out there. And we haven't received that ballpark figure of what that project is going to cost out back. So they owe us what it's going to be for them to get us through the procurement process. And then they also owe us that ballpark figure, what they think this project should cost. Of course, we won't know for sure until we bid it out. But they've been good to work with, and I expect to have that number to you by next board meeting and see where we're at with that. That's the drainage issue out back. And that's from the steps towards the vocational. That's not the whole length of the building. That would just be from the steps towards vocational, towards the animal processing classroom. Any questions there? I know they're timing me back there, so I've got to hurry up. The storage building at the elementary school, again, they are very close to finalizing the construction documents. We need them, and them there is Williamson Shriver. They need to finalize everything we've talked about, have this plan on paper. Out there, that's a county project. That's us taking it on. That's not SBA. We just need the fire marshal. We need to turn this plan into the fire marshal. The fire marshal needs to give his approval, and then we could bid that out. So we're just waiting on Williamson Shriver to finalize the document, get it approval through the fire marshal, and then we should be ready to bid that out. Any questions on any of those facility updates?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cody Moore, you're up next.
All right, so I'll try not to take as long as Mr. Frazier does.
Thank you.
But no, the policy committee met on August 31st at 4 o'clock. We went over the policies in the 1000 section on governance. We divided those policies up to some of the committee members, and the policies that we're going to may make possible, changes to are 1010 through 1050 are those numbers. So we're looking at West Virginia School Board Association templates, that the state gives us to, kind of rewrite some of those and things. It seems to have good progress. We were supposed to meet this week, but we're going to postpone that and meet again on September 21st at 4 o'clock due to the board having to have a special meeting on Wednesday to address some other stuff. And as far as I have, that's all my report.
Thank you, Cody. Now we're on to new business, dual litigation.
Yes, you had all the information from last time, and it is my recommendation that tonight that we pass a resolution in which to join the Jewel lawsuit and to work through it with Charles Rusty Webb.
I'll make that motion that we join that litigation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we join the litigation lawsuit for Joel. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any old unfinished business?
No.
Personnel, you want to do that next?
Okay. Make sure I've got the right one. Under service personnel, we have Scott Nelson, substitute custodian, Gilmer County Schools, Patrick Buckner, bus operator, Rosedale area, Gilmer County Schools, Peggy Runyon, substitute cook, Gilmer County Schools, and Peggy Runyon, substitute classroom / transportation aide for Gilmer County Schools. Do you want me to proceed or stop there?
Well, we'll go ahead and get a motion to approve those
Okay.
if you don't. Is there?
Yeah, I move that we approve on the service section on the personnel agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second, we approve the service personnel section of the personnel agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Under extracurricular, Amanda Williams, homebound instructor, and Kara Ferguson, auxiliary mini Titan girls volleyball coach.
Make a motion to approve the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That concludes the personnel, right?
Yes.
Patty? The person that was on there that left was Mrs. Ramazan, wasn't it? Didn't they were on the first thing?
No, it was a bus operator who pulled his bid at the last moment. He bid on the Rosedale area, and he
But then
decided he didn't
pulled-
want it, yeah.
He decided after he, okay.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, they got that cleared. Okay, we have a local school improvement council discussion now. It's next on the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss about the local school improvement councils? I want to say, first of all, I believe that we should have had a meeting at least once every year at each school. I've been on the board now, this is my 3rd year. And I never missed a meeting the first 2 years I was on the board. And as far as I know, we never met and had a local school improvement council meeting in schools, at each school. And I would like to have a meeting at each school, at least one. And I think that we need to have that for the purpose so that parents or teachers or anybody in the community will have more access to the board. That's one of the major reasons for having it. Now, I'll see if anybody else has anything they want to say about local school improvement councils and boards.
Mr. Money, if I'm not mistaken, we have voted on that at a previous meeting because Mr. Price and Mr. Putnam give us dates and those were approved. So I just thought that was the only meeting
Was
that
that
we
the meeting
needed.
that I wasn't here?
Was that,
I think it was the last meeting we had.
August 8th. And I do know that Mr. Putnam's LSIC had met Thursday, and they were requesting to move their meeting to December. Is that correct, Mr. Putnam? So that'll be something that, it wasn't on the agenda, but we'll put it on the 22nd to move their LSIC meeting with the board to the December meeting instead of the November meeting. And yours was January?
No, ours was in December.
December, okay, so it will have to be a different one.
You have already set those meetings for this year.
Yes, you voted on them,
Two.
yes.
Was that a meeting that I wasn't here, or was I asleep?
It was the 8th.
No.
I think we're just used to hearing it called LSIC instead of the whole name written out, local school improvement council. The LSIC.
Just, and you can make a copy of this or whatever, but they gave us handouts, just, I guess, summarizing policy 2322, just taking it and putting it in smaller bites so that we could have a quick reference. And they have a section in that for the LSIC, and you may want a copy of that
Yes.
so that we can be sure we're in
Yes, please, because
compliance.
that's the policy that Mr. Price and I and Mr. Moore was gonna be working on.
Yep.
the,
Yeah, and the 2322 is the state.
Right.
And I think ours is maybe 1020, maybe.
10:30.
10:30, something like that.
I can't remember.
But that's,
It, 10:20 is the policy
The
number. but
10:20?
Yeah.
And again, I think those meetings, Cody, must have been done the night that I wasn't here.
They were, that's what I was getting
Yeah.
to. From, according to my notes, November the 14th was supposed to be the high school, and December the 12th was supposed to be the elementary school.
Yes.
But superintendent just said we need to change the high school at the next meeting.
That was
So-
a request that the high school LSIC had asked to do.
And we really need to set those up, in my opinion, on the first meeting in July. That's when we're supposed to do it by code. It should be done in July, the first meeting with the local school improvement councils. And like I said, we haven't had a meeting since I've been on the board until this time. So what I want to do is follow the procedures and the policies that we're supposed to follow. I think that's very important. And to give parents and teachers access to the board at the school is good, and for the board members to get out there in that school is good. So that's one of the major reasons that I brought that up earlier in the year about having local school improvement council meetings. It's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. So I'm glad that we're going to have those meetings. Do you have any information, anybody else have anything to say about LSICs? Okay. Then, Patty, do you have any more information for us?
I just gave you a list of field trip requests. For those of you that are new, in-state field trip requests, I can approve, and then I just give you a copy of them so you can see where we're going. So that was under informational. And then, there's what, six field trips there for you to look at. Then Friday, when, I know you guys were at your board member training, but we also had a superintendent training, and Amendment 2 and 4, which I don't know enough to speak on yet, but it's rather scary what I do know. And they are going to invite the superintendents and the chief business financial officer to the next meeting so we can have some information to bring back to the voters, because on paper and in theory, it looks good for school systems. In reality, it's not. So it's,
well, we discussed the amendment too in
Yes.
a small session, and Doddridge County was mediating it. And of course, it's about the personal property taxes.
Yes.
And he said that they would lose 40% and would have to possibly eliminate up to 50 positions
it's going to affect
if
our
it passed.
our
And I don't know
levy.
what it is
Yeah.
for here,
But it was like $1 million is the little booklet we got. It was supposed to, Gilmer County's supposed to get an additional $1 million, but that additional $1 million's coming from somewhere. And it looks bad for the school system,
Let's say
so.
what they're taking.
Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna give you this because we're gonna take this.
Yes.
Yes.
So as I learn more, I'll make sure and share that with you. When Clay and I go and meet, they are putting together a committee with Uriah is supposed to be there as well, who is with the State Department. And so, I mean, we really need to get our voices out there on Amendment 2 and 4.
I also read those amendments, and I want to thank Myra for putting those in the newspaper. Everybody in the county should have had an opportunity to have read each one of those amendments. I'm really concerned, and my concern is there's trying to create a board there of 9 people that will, of course, be 5 of one party and 4 of another, based on how they're supposed to do it. It will, in my opinion, it will become more political than it is today. They are also going to make the state superintendent totally responsible for the school system. They will make the decisions. Everything will be decided by, if I read the amendment right, the state superintendent will make the decisions for the school. And the 9-member board will be approved by the Senate over alternating periods. So I see a real problem with that because of the local control of the system is going to be leaving, a lot will be leaving the counties. And that's how I interpret it. I don't know if you guys have looked at those and what you think about it, but that's how I interpret it. And the state superintendent will be the one that makes the decisions. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say about the amendments? Any board member comments now? We're down to that. Any board members have any comments they want to make?
Were we in superintendent information before, or
Yeah.
did you skip over that?
No,
Okay.
I was just talking about amendment 2 and 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was talking about amendment 2 and 4.
Okay.
Now, board members, comments.
I do have a report from, on September the 1st, the Leading Creek Governance Board Committee met. We elected new officers. The chair for that committee will be Lewis County Superintendent Dr. Robin Lewis. The vice chair will be Gilmer County Superintendent Mrs. Lowther, and their secretary, their executive secretary will be the secretary for that board. We went over their 2022-2023 enrollment numbers. There's currently 130 students that attend school at Leading Creek Elementary. Out of those 130, 21 of those are Gilmer County school students. We also talked about some new personnel, people that they had hired. They give us updates on curriculum. They're going to put some more math intervention time in their schedule. They went over their bus schedule. The principal there, Mrs. Friedland, gave an update and said everything was going well with buses. She just asked that Mr. Frazier and Mrs. Lowther, anytime that we have, let out early, that we let them, know so they can adjust their schedule and stuff when needed to get those students, back into Gilmer County. It was a very informative meeting, for the first one for me, just to kind of see how, they're running and doing things over there. Our next meeting for that committee will be November the 15th at 9 a.m. That'll be an in-person meeting at Leading Creek, and we will also review their test data at the next governance board committee of that school.
That's the Gilmer County Schools one call.
As per policy, I was just going to report back. I attended the fall conference for the Board of Education on Friday and Saturday. One of probably the most important things I see is policy 2322, which is going to be very strict in the accountability of the county schools. They gave this booklet out to kind of give a brief summary of the different things they're looking for. And even now they're going to our web pages and pulling meeting minutes and seeing if we're meeting the requirements. If we're not meeting the requirements, they will be sending emails asking us to show them something that we have met the requirements. As far as proficiency data, there are all these criteria they want to make sure we meet. If we have not met that at the end of the year and then we're not showing improvement, we will be required to send the superintendent and the board president in front of the state board to explain why we're not meeting that criteria. But I'm going to see if we can get a copy of everyone on those points. They are coming up with some training modules on, I think they called it Zoom West Virginia for board members. They said that those would start being available at the end of September. They did go over superintendent evaluations, gave us copies of the evaluation forms they use and some information about completing that. I did try to talk to other counties to see what they were doing about things, and Greenbrier County, I asked them about the resource officers in the schools, and they said that that is something that they use the grant money for, but also levy money for. Also, I'd like to request that we all get a copy of the school laws, that book.
That comes from the State Department, so they should be sending one out.
Okay. That's a brief overview. It was enlightening to me to be able to discuss things with other counties and see how other counties are doing things. And I think that's something we should start looking forward in the future, is how can we interact with counties that are getting it right as far as education or whatever parameter we're looking at, and starting to get ideas from other counties and see what things we can do differently here. Oh, I had one other thing. I would like for you to investigate what has happened with the student council
Yeah, I received your email.
elections and report back to us.
I just didn't have the letter.
Yeah.
I couldn't open it today.
If you'll just report back
You
to
have
us on
anything,
that.
Brett?
I only have a question for Mr. Putnam. Mr. Putnam, we, at the beginning here, I've only been here for 4 meetings, but one of them was on, we approved some substitute teachers, and for the substitute teacher list, and I asked if we thought that was gonna be enough substitute teachers, but I've heard that you're having some substitute teacher problems, like, as far as not having enough substitutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's countywide and
I
statewide.
know that's statewide. And then I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but am I allowed to ask you to like call teachers or something like that? I had a teacher come to me that said, nobody's even called me to sub. And that's, yeah, so, I mean, we can be outside of this, but
Yeah.
I do have some people that would like to take a phone call and they might be interested in subbing, so.
We put out a big ad about, on Facebook about calling in, and we have received about six that have come in since then to express an interest into.
That was one of the things in the small group meetings, that they ask everyone for
Yeah.
ideas on how to get teachers and substitutes, and I didn't really understand it because I'd never heard of it before, but the guy from the Doddridge County Board said they contract with is it abbreviated something that like retired teachers can be employed by this company, and then they contract with that company. And apparently it's for a whole region, which,
Oh,
yes, it
Okay.
replaced RISA. And I don't remember the mnemonic. Yes.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
said it replaced RISA. I'd never heard of it,
And
but
see, we go through the State Department with Donna Landon to get ours going. We even do the associate degrees, trying to get restricted subs, trying to get people in.
yeah.
County has
And-
a waiver for
Mhm.
restricted subs.
And I didn't understand because he had said they had gotten retired teachers back in, but I didn't understand how that would work with their retirement and stuff, because I
If
thought
it-
there was a cap.
If
but-
it's a critical need area such as math, special ed, we have 5 areas that we submit a critical need area into the State Department every year, and then we get it back. I know special ed and math is one. So if
Yeah.
you're a retired teacher in special ed or math, you can sub more than 133 days, and it does
Yeah.
not affect your
That's
retirement
'cause
at all.
his was math.
Yes,
And
yes.
registry.
I can't remember the mnemonic,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
written down anywhere, but he did say it replaced RISA.
It's down in Beckley, isn't it?
I think there were a couple of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beckley and over in the Eastern
Yeah,
Panhandle.
and this was Doddridge, and they said they used that to help them, but.
Okay, just a couple of things I want to mention, and some of these relate to what some of the board members have already said. There are certain policies and procedures, both state policies, county policies, state code. There are specific dates and times that reports are due that this Board of Education needs to do, and we need to make sure we follow all those policies and procedures that we need to follow based on state code, our own policy, and the state board policy, because we have to follow all those things. And if it says we have a report that's due on the 10th of July, we've already made a mistake. So we need to be up on what reports we need to do and get those done on time and follow the procedures that we're supposed to.
Would be nice if we could
Have a calendar?
start a
have a-
calendar or a list or something, trying to get all those dates. And we may have to do it as we go this year, but I think that's something that would be very useful in planning for a year's meetings.
Okay, after that, I've got one other thing, and I've wanted to thank Mr. Price for inviting people to Grandparents' Day. I went out to that. And it's kind of like I said, going to a local school improvement council meeting. When you go to the school, you actually see the nice things like the Wildcat statue and all the good things going on and the positive attitudes of the people working there and the smiles on the faces of the kids. It does a lot to attend those things. So I appreciate being able to come to your school and see those positive things going on. That was a nice event to have.
My mom went and she was very happy with it. Thought everything was nice, everybody was pleasant, and kids enjoyed it, and grandparents enjoyed it. And it was nice that they had parking, that the teachers had parked somewhere else.
Okay, is there any other board members have anything? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to the next
Special meeting.
special meeting.
I'm going to the bathroom first.
Okay, let's take a couple minutes break then if anybody needs to go.
That's gonna be the work session.
Yeah.